So we've entered our first event with the Golf, the Flying Fifth at Bathurst Light Car Club on the 14th of September. This will be our first hit out with the car, just to go out and have a bit of fun with it. In this video, we're just running through some of the prep work that we're going to be doing. With our entry into the Flying Fifth, we've got a bit of prep work that we've got to do to the Golf. One of the things that we need to do is we need to do a quick once-over, give it a fluids change, just double-check that everything's all good. We're within 5,000 Ks of the service interval from when we purchased the car, so we should be okay, but at the end of the day, you want nice fresh oil before you hit the track in any way, shape or form. There's also a couple of things that we also need to look into as well, that we've got to still repair from the accident damage. One of those things is just mounting the charcoal canister so that we don't have a problem there. Another one is that when I changed the wheels on the car, unfortunately these tyres aren't exactly the greatest, which for registration purposes aren't a big deal, and just rolling around the shed it's not a big deal, but I need to get some different tyres on. So for the time being, given that I've got them available to me, I'm planning on using some Z221s off our Golf R race car. That'll just get me by for this event. I want to do a comparison at the track between a set of road tyres and these tyres in a later video. At the moment, the R's currently out of action, so it's not a big issue pinching the tyres off that. And for the sprint that we're doing, these tyres really aren't going to be that big of a benefit. There are some other things that we need to investigate as well and do before we go to the Flying Fifth. One such thing is also doing a tow hook on the front and rear of the vehicle. We also need to check out what signage we need, such as whether it needs a tow hook sticker, which my plan is to use a red tow hook, so it's not required. The other thing that we want to do is just do a quick once over, make sure that our brake pads have plenty of pad material left, and make sure that our pedal is good. For the event that we're doing, braking potential isn't going to be a big issue. However, it is always worthwhile to check those things. The other thing that we're going to need to be doing is popping a number sticker on the side of the car. We need that as per the Super Sprint regulations. So my goal is to be running the number 51. I think I've got some stickers here, but I'll give you some pricing from my local sign writer as to how much that would cost to get that done to your car, so that you can see completely, start to finish, how much this would cost. Now, let's get this car in the air, and what we'll do is we'll give it a quick once-over underneath, make sure we don't have any leaks that we need to address before we go to the event, make sure that it's all schmick and sound before we go, and we'll give it an oil change and make sure there's no nasties in the oil, and we'll go from there. Okie doke. So before we do the oil filter, what I wanted to do was have a quick look at what's sort of going on under here. So I've pulled that cap off the oil filter for the time being. That's fine. But what we can see is there's a little bit of gunk build up through here. It looks like it's had a slow oil leak, because the thing is a lot of this oil just builds up. It only takes a little bit for the dirt to build up on it and continue to build and build and build and make an oil leak look far worse than it actually is. So from what we can see, there's a couple of tiny weeps. I'm thinking that some of it could also be from when they've changed the oil filter in the past, because there's a bit of accumulation around the oil filter housing, and that will spread really quickly and easily. So what we're going to do is, after we've changed our filter, we're going to run through and just tidy all this up so that we can locate where the oil leak actually is. But what's excellent is it doesn't appear to be a major leak, so I haven't cleaned up around that sun plug yet, so that's fine. But what we can see is this is our mechatronics cover here. Looks to be weeping. This is a fairly common problem with these, so we'll have to get a gasket for that and tidy that back up. And a bit of a clean up under here. It looks so much better. So that'll at least give us a clear idea where the oil leaks are coming from, and then we can address it very shortly. So, but what I do want to do is I want to get this lower cover back on the under tray for the car before we go to the event at Bathurst. So before each and every event, you probably should be going over your car, basically just doing a quick safety check, making sure that all of the stuff like brake lines, ABS sensors are secured in the correct holders, making sure that you have enough pad available to complete the event. In this case, we're just using road calipers and pads at the moment, and with no braided lines. So for the type of event that we're currently going to be doing, this isn't going to be an issue because we don't actually have any hard braking. This is just a quick sprint to the end of conrod, and then we just gently slow down. So we shouldn't be putting too much heat into it. When we go to a track day, this will probably be something that will overhaul relatively quickly, because we'll be suffering from heat problems. So we'll be checking that all around. So we'll be going over to the back of the car, making sure that, again, we've got plenty of pad available. Everything is secured as it should, which it does. Don't mind the gas heater there. Sorry, not gas heater, diesel heater. It's a bit chilly in the shed, so make sure that your rotors don't have a lip on them that could cause problems. Make sure there's no micro cracking or any cracks that you can pick up with your fingernails. If there is, it's probably best to go out and replace them. So these fronts could probably do with replacement, so before we go to the track, we probably need to do that. But for this particular event, they should be okay, because as I said, we're not doing any hard braking or anything. It's just a gentle slowdown. So for this particular one, anything that's good enough for the road should be good enough for this particular event. Now, look at the difference between the ball nose and our standard conical seat. Make sure you get the right bolts for your wheels, otherwise it'll be a problem. So I spent a bit of time this afternoon getting a fire extinguisher bracket together. I made that out of the aluminium that we purchased from Bunnings. So that's just our Bunnings fire extinguisher. That's nice and securely mounted, so that isn't going to go anywhere. It's got a little bit of movement in the bracket, but side to side it's not going anywhere. It's not rattling, so it's not going to annoy me at all. And it doesn't interfere with the legs of your passenger or co-driver, depending on what you're doing. So, and after waiting for the paint to dry, we finally got a tow hook on front and rear. So that's our rear one. Basically I just pulled the cover off for the rear, but for the front, because it doesn't have a cover, I actually drilled a hole in there so that it's permanently mounted. So yeah, so it should be all good to rock and roll for Bathurst, other than our door numbers, which I'll get done this week. So to cover our costs in this video, first up we had a fire extinguisher at $29.97 from Bunnings. Then we also grabbed some aluminium for mounting that fire extinguisher. We grabbed 2 lengths, a metre long, 50 mil by 3 mil at $23.46 each. We also changed the oil with Penrite 5W40 HPR5, which is $85.99. We put an oil filter in at $20. We grabbed an extra tow hook from our local wrecker for $5. and we put our first event entry in, which cost us $180. So our total comes to $367.88. So the cost so far on this particular car is the purchase and repair of the car is $2,972.12. Maintenance and track prep, we have spent $887.88. We've spent $180 on event entry, thus bringing our total to $3,340. In our next episode, we're going to be getting some stickers installed, such as our door numbers, our battery triangle, and we're going to be looking at whether or not we actually need tow stickers front and rear, given that we've painted our tow hooks orange. We'll be loading up and going to the event at Bathurst. We'll be doing the Bathurst Flying 1/5, and we'll be having a look at, after the event, at what do we actually need to improve on with the car and how we might be able to go about that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.